Coming up next, forecaster John Bordash goes over the latest forecast, timing of the winter storm, and impacts you can expect in southern Maryland and across the Mid-Atlantic. Stay tuned. This live forecast begins shortly.
Winter weather looks to threaten southern Maryland on Sunday. As this system moves closer to our area, turn to JB Weather for continuing coverage.
Forecaster John Bordash will be providing around-the-clock coverage, providing the latest analysis, forecast updates, and live reports to keep you and your family ahead of the storm.
When winter weather strikes, JB Weather is providing winter weather coverage southern Maryland can count on. Brought to you by our sponsors: William Richmond Inc., Farmers Home and Auto Insurance, the Bob Koski Agency, R.E. Graves Heating and Air Conditioning, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, McNeil's Group Properties, the Charleston Senior Community, and Chesapeake's Bounty. Now, here's forecaster John Bordash with a live forecast update.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I am forecaster John Bordash with you right now to give the latest update here from the Storm Center on what it is I'm tracking for our region and really across the Mid-Atlantic, because we have a very interesting winter storm that's going to be impacting the region, and there are plenty of questions. I do have a link to the final call forecast in the description, so make sure you check that out. You can read through everything I'm about to talk about, and then the pinned comment is just a question that gets asked a lot, and I want to make sure that that's in one area so you don't have to wait forever to get that answer. Additionally, on the bottom here in just a second, you will be seeing a ticker that pops up that shows my snowfall forecast, city by city, county by county, town by town, and that will really help to give you an idea of what to expect in your area. But let's get right into it. We are going to be talking about this system moving to our south and east. It's been gathering energy off the Gulf Coast, and it's going to start to move to the northward, off the southeast coastline first, then off our beaches here in the Mid-Atlantic and off the northeast coastline. As this happens, we're going to be tracking a few things. A, how far to the north and west does this come? That is the biggest question, and that's going to have the biggest role on our forecast here. How cold are the temperatures, and do heavier bands end up forming here locally? Moving this forward here, show you the different scenarios we have. The first one is a scenario that takes the storm further north and west, that drapes that rain snow line across our region, and the heavier snow sets up towards the DC metro area with rain down to the south. Now, scenario 2 takes us further south and east. It would set that rain snow line up to our south and east and really drapes that heavier snow across our region, and that could allow for some pretty decent accumulations across our region. It's really a toss-up with which scenario will end up taking place. I have some models that show very little in southern Maryland with that scenario 1 happening. A lot, though, do show the southeast track here, so I'm not sure if I totally buy it, but that is something to take into consideration. We do have winter storm warnings here shaded in pink for much of the Mid-Atlantic. This includes locally Anne Arundel, PG, Charles, and King George County in Virginia, and the winter weather advisory includes Calvert, St. Mary's, and Westmoreland County. They're shown in purple. The warning denotes where higher totals will be likely, with that advisory showing where lower totals will likely be, but we have tons of uncertainty with our forecast here locally, and I wouldn't be surprised to see these warnings and advisories reconfigured in some sort of way as we head forward here, where we see changes. It wouldn't surprise me to see some counties added to the warning or taken out, or added to the advisory or taken out. So it's going to be something that's going to be a very fluid situation. When does this start? This is probably going to be starting around midnight to 3 a.m. for most of us. The timing looks to be delayed a little bit, but I would expect it between about midnight to 3 a.m. This likely will not start as snow for our region. It will probably start as rain. It got pretty warm today, up into the 50s. That's above average for us, and it will take time to cool this down. So this will probably start with an hour or two of rain. Then as we see temperatures fall, just because it's nighttime, and then we see some dynamic cooling, we will then begin to see colder air working, and we will see our rain switch over to snow gradually, but it will probably happen. The final call forecast I put out, and this got a lot of buzz, a general 3 to 6 right up along I-95. So locally, again, that's really for those winter storm warning counties. Much of Charles County, PG, and Arundel County, 1 to 3 on either side of that, and then less than an inch down towards the lower eastern shore. What about locally? Let's just take it right into southern Maryland and answer that question. This is what I'm forecasting for much of our region. This isn't too changed from yesterday, so no need to say that the forecast is busted or that the forecast is changing. My forecast yesterday looked very similar to this, and you can check the website to see that. But from about, let's call it St. Leonard to about Loveville, Hollywood, Point South, that area probably about 1 to 3, with the lowest totals probably along the southern tip of St. Mary's County. We'll be looking at 2 to 4, really right up along 231 near the Benedict Bridge. We're talking maybe closer to 2 if we see more rain, closer to 4 though if we see more snow, and higher totals up towards the north. There will be a band of heavy snow that sets up somewhere in the mid-Atlantic tomorrow locally. The question is where, and if I take you back here to the regional snowfall forecast, it's likely to set up somewhere within that darker blue 3 to 6 range. I think many in that dark blue will see about 3 to 4 inches. Isolated areas, though, could see 5 to 6 if you can get in on that heavier snow band, and it's even possible it sets up across our region with a track that's further to the south and east. These are the boom and bust zones I'm going to be looking at, and I know that looks like I should almost the entire map, but we're talking about 2 different areas for 2 different reasons. North and west of I-95, that's area 1. This zone could bust if we see snowfall totals that, we could see this forecast bust, meaning snowfall totals end up being lower than forecasted. If we see the storm track further south and east, not allowing for higher snow totals here. We could also see that happen if heavier precipitation rates do not make themselves known here, leading to far fewer snowfall totals over 3 inches. This area, though, could see a boom forecast, higher snowfall totals if we see that storm continue to track north and west, and that would really set that bullseye up in that region. Area 2, right across our region, as always, we could see totals here bust or lower than expected. If we see that northwest trend continue, we see heavy rain across the region instead of heavy snow because of warmer temperatures. However, I think the chance of our forecast booming instead of busting, at least my forecast, is much higher. It is very possible we see snowfall totals that are higher because if this system sits up to the south and east, or we're just a degree or 2 colder, we could be looking at heavy snow bands sitting up in our region. In my forecast, you could see snowfall totals on the upper end of my forecast. So in the 1 to 3 zone, maybe more like 3, not 1. But we'll see. That's why there's a range for you. And this is really on full display for you on Futurecast. It depicts that rain snow line setting up right around our region, kind of getting close to the southern tip of St. Mary's County there. And I have it outlined there in pink. A 10 to 20 mile shift, either northwest or southeast, will make a huge difference. And I put the arrows on there so you can see. This model has a band of heavy snow setting up through parts of Calvert, Charles, St. Mary's County. If that happens, you're going to see big snowfall totals, and that's going to definitely be the case if this shifts 10 to 20 miles to the south and east. However, if it shifts 10 to 20 miles north and west, we're going to be talking about a far different forecast for our region. So there's a lot of potential, and literally 10 miles will make the difference with this forecast. So that's the distance from driving from Great Mills to about Leonardtown or so. That difference will make a huge forecast or a huge impact with this forecast. Here's the storm timeline, though, to give you a good idea of what I'm expecting. This likely starts probably closer to midnight than 10 a.m., probably between about 12 and 2 or so, 12 and 3. If the snow does indeed materialize, and I do think we will see at least some snow, if we do see heavy snow bands set up, they will be the heaviest. We'll see the heaviest snow, which will probably be more like moderate snow, so not necessarily heavy, but heaviest snows set up between about 4 and 10 o'clock in the morning. And it should begin to wind down by about lunchtime or shortly thereafter. So there should not be snow falling if you're headed out to any Super Bowl viewing parties. I do have that rain line lit up, though, because we do have some rain snow line concerns. And this is going to be something that we continue to look at. And I see one quick question. With temps in the mid-30s, how does this end up? How does this not end up as all rain? Because there is a lot more that goes on with the forecast and what happens right here at the surface. We have an entire column of air that's about a mile high that dictates our weather. If much of that column of air is below freezing, which it typically is with these types of setups, it will follow snow. That's why you can get snow at 38, 39, even 40 degrees. It might not accumulate right away because it's warm here at the surface, but snow can fall in those conditions because it falls out of the cloud base thousands of feet up as a snowflake, and because the temperatures are below freezing the entire way down, it stays as a snowflake, and the small little warm layer here at the surface that's like at 38 instead of 32 doesn't give it enough time to melt. That's why it's more of a heavy wet snow. Now, if that warm layer is higher up into the atmosphere, that's when we start to talk about sleet or freezing rain or just plain rain. So that's how that kind of impacts the forecast with us. So a change of 1 to 2 degrees here at the surface can make a difference. A change of 1 to 2 degrees 5,000 feet above our heads can make a difference. And any combination of that will make a huge difference. So if we are 2 degrees colder up above our heads, but we are 1 to 2 degrees warmer down here, you see the issue here. That's why this forecast is so low confidence. And that's why it's been a hard time trying to formulate a definitive forecast for you. Travel difficulties are likely for the day tomorrow, and I think that they will be the most likely in the morning. So if you plan on heading out to church services or you're doing grocery shopping tomorrow morning, I would expect some issues. If we do indeed see heavy, or not even heavy, but we see accumulating snow tomorrow that accumulates on the roadways, I would expect those impacts to last into the afternoon and evening. If we do not, you won't be seeing that across the region. If we are warmer, we only see maybe an inch of snow or so, and then we see a little bit of rain, then it gets out of here. Expect fine road conditions tomorrow and on Monday. But if we do see those heavier snow bands in our region, we could be talking about the highest impacts during the morning, and then we'll talk about lingering impacts into the evening and potentially even impacts in our region on Monday. So that is kind of the story with us, and I do want to show you kind of what's at play here with our forecast. I'm going to bring you over here. I'm going to give you a live look at our models, and I'm going to really show you what some of them are showing. We're first going to take a look at our European model. This is one of our better weather models, and it has quite an interesting scenario for our region. The European model, and this is the state of Maryland. If I can bring this down and get that towards the middle part of your screen. State of Maryland, Southern Maryland's right down here, Northern Neck, DC, Annapolis. Pushing this forward, this model does start us off with some rain, but then quickly switches us over to snow. And you can see this model tries to paint those heavier bands we were talking about across our region. This is our best weather model, and a lot of other models are showing this. So this is something that is very possible. And this continues to keep us as all snow. And look how far south and east that rain snow line is. It's well down to the south and east, and it moves out of here. Maybe some raindrops to end, but I think if we see heavy snow, it'll stick around as snow. How much snow does this model put down? So not my forecast, but the model. It puts a bullseye in our region. You know, we're talking a bullseye here of like 3 to 6 inches plus here in our region at north and west. Now, I can show you a different model here that does not show, well, I guess it does now. But that does not show that to be the case. An earlier run of this model here, not one of our better ones, but a short-term one I look at, shows very little snow across our region with the heaviest snow north and west. So we have a lot of possibilities, and we are just, 6 to 12 hours out from the event, and we still have a wide-ranging possibility spectrum on the table still. Nothing can get ruled out at this point, and that is why this forecast is so difficult. You will see higher snowfall totals if the storm A tracks a little further south and east, and even if it doesn't, we could see that be the case if we see those heavier bands set up in our region. And the heavier bands of precipitation, what that does and what that allows is it acts as a vessel, the heavy rain. It acts as a vessel to pull down cooler air and then brings down the cold air from the top levels of the atmosphere down to our region. And that's called dynamic cooling. And that would help to bring temperatures down and switch us over to a heavy wet snow. And because it's falling fast enough, it would then accumulate on the across the region. So this is, I think, really what we're talking about. This is a very difficult forecast. I think the area you need to be the most aware of for this potential to happen, for totals to be higher, is going to be in our region, right? So if I come back to this area 2, that is why I think that the boom potential here is a lot higher than the bust potential. My forecast is about as low as I think is reasonably feasible. I don't see totals being too much lower than what I have here. I mean, you might be in Lesbian, you might see 1 instead of 3, but I think you will fall in these ranges somewhere, somehow. But I just showed you a model, the European model, that shows 6 inches and less be not 1 or 3. So that potential is very much on the table, and that is something I am tracking. I will show you our Futurecast model, the one I use, the one I look at, and it really helps to paint the story, and I think it really shows just how finicky this forecast is. So this is the model here. Let's push over to midnight. Not much going on. So again, this could maybe be closer to 3 o'clock than midnight. But by 1, 2, 3 o'clock, rain is spreading across our region. So if you see raindrops initially, do not be surprised. I think that is very much possible. By 4 or 5 o'clock, you can see snow beginning to break out as colder air moves in. And then by about 6 and 7 o'clock, we've started to transition over to snow. And this is because you can see heavier bands trying to set up across the region. Where the bands are not heavier, you're going to have some issues, and that's why this model looks so weird. It shows snow in our region, but rainy mix up north because the bands aren't heavier. Pushing this forward, though, towards 8 and 9 o'clock, look at this. It has heavier bands in our region. You see these all over the place, but look how close that rain-snow line is. You literally travel up Route 5 from Ridge to Hollywood. What's that, a 15, 20-minute drive? Probably an hour if you're talking Friday at 3 o'clock when the base is letting out. You could be going from heavy snow to heavy rain. So again, 10 to 20 miles is going to make a huge difference with this forecast. But this is for you get here at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you head over towards 10, 11, 12. The model has an issue trying to keep us as all snow because temperatures will gradually begin to warm. But I do think, given the meteorology of this, if we do transition over to this heavy snow, we will stick with heavy snow the entire time. I don't think we'll switch over to rain. Now, if we don't see that, then yes, we could end at some raindrops. But, again, this model, just to give you an idea, and I don't think this is going to be the mode I want it to be. So I'll just bring you over here. It'll give you a good idea. So, again, this was this model. If I take you over to what I was just showing you was the NAM model. Look at this. Now make sure that we're all the way up to through the entire storm. Yep. Can I zoom in? No? Oh, that's fine. But this model shows the heavier snows south and east of DC, right through our region here. You see these purples? 6 inches right there. So this is the potential. It's either we will see rain in our region, which is very possible, or we could see heavy snow. It's going to be one extreme or the other here, which is what makes it hard to forecast because you can't cut the difference in the middle and hope to be right on one side or the other. You have to make a call. My call is, given the trend I've seen this winter with winter storms, this will probably end up further north and west, and I think this will be maybe 30 miles north and west. That would be my guess. However, I very well could be wrong with this, and I'll be transparent about that. My forecast could be wrong. It could be too low. And that is the precise reason why I drew up this graphic. And I see Glenn's asking about O-wings. You got the ticker down there to show you. That's why I love the ticker. But again, my forecast could be wrong. That's why I threw this graphic together. And the reason my forecast could be wrong is not because it's too high. I think that my forecast seems reasonable if we see that rain snow mix. The forecast could be wrong because it's underdone. This snowfall bullseye could still be in our region. And if you see 6 inches, that is a far cry from 1 to 3 that I'm forecasting. So just know that that's possible. And if that does happen, we will be talking about impacts that linger into Saturday evening and potentially into Monday. And then we have more winter weather chances, believe it or not, coming up later on this week. The first one comes around Wednesday. The next one comes around Friday. And then we have more the following week. It's going to be a crazy couple of weeks, really. My winter forecast I issued back out in November did call for at least one moderate event to impact our region. This could be it. My winter forecast for seasonal snow totals was 6 to 12 inches in our region. By the time we head to April, we will have seen between 6 and 12 inches. And I thought most of that, 50 to 75%, would fall from one moderate storm. This could be that storm. This could be the storm that gives us 3 to 6 inches. My forecast is 1 to 3, but just know that that's where I stand. I'm going to get to your questions now, more of them, to try to see what everyone's talking about, and I'll try to help you out with this. So I'll get to the last comment I saw, which was Jessica's about the temperatures. Let's see. Let's see, the playful parent. Well, I'm glad that I can attract younger viewers. Let's see, National Weather Service has 4 to 6 for DC. Yeah, and you know what? And I can show you that forecast. I don't know how that's going to come up over here. We'll see. Again, and it looks like they're trying to expand the winter weather advisory a little bit. Missed a couple counties. But coming down here, their snowfall forecast is this. Look at that. 4 to 6 La Plata, 1 to 2 Lexington Park. More out west, 4 to 6 DC. So they're really honing in on that more northwestern solution as well. But I showed you how we could see, boop, that's right over our region instead. And Ramona, Calvert County doesn't want snow. Believe it or not, I get many more questions and people wanting snow than not from Calvert County. Monday morning looks cold, so it could be an icy morning. It could be 100%. I guess the trends are in our favor. Andrew says, I mean, I don't want to discount that. It's very possible that this area 2, this purple zone, sees the highest accumulations. This is such a low confidence forecast. I can't put together a forecast that's high confidence because anything is possible. We could see nothing. We could see 7 inches of snow. And that's being fully transparent. This is my best stab at it of 1 to 3, but you could be on the higher end of that 3, potentially exceeding it. Let's see, with the temperature being over 35, I figured it wouldn't snow but rain. And Herbie, I don't know if you caught that piece I did about temperatures, and maybe I'll throw together a graphic so people could get a better idea how that happens. But it's all about temperatures across the atmosphere. Do you think for being transparent about the trickiness of this forecast? Yeah, I'll always be transparent about a forecast, especially this one. My forecast could be way too low. Maybe it's too high because maybe we see more rain than snow. Who knows? Please no snow for Coward and Charles. Either that or a big dump. Odds for school on Monday for Calvert County since little ones are going back. Mara, I will have school odds up tomorrow. It is too... I can't forecast that right now. And I've always been that way. I'll forecast school odds the day before because I don't want to forecast a close and we see rain, you know. But whatever happens tomorrow, it will really impact what schools and impacts on Monday will look like. And I'll have a forecast up about that coming up. Christine, Phoenixville, I remember that is Charles County, Chester County outside of Philadelphia. Probably going to see about 3 to 6. Maybe you're closer to 4 or 5. So legit, we won't have any ideas until precipitation starts. Mara, for the most part, I mean, this is after looking at quantitative data, studying the atmosphere, and kind of looking at trends, this is my forecast. But I won't have a good call for you on which side this is going to land on, if it's a boom or a bust, until it's happening. This is a really hard storm to call right now. You know what's going to happen. When you think it'll become much... And Anita, same thing. I won't have a good idea till probably 3 a.m. tomorrow morning when I can tell you where the storm's going. See, why is AccuWeather this whole week saying 3 to 6 for tomorrow? I mean, AccuWeather uses computerized data. They don't have like a meteorologist or a forecaster kind of as the middleman to try to decipher everything. So, and that's the same thing with your weather apps and a lot of even your TV forecasts. They just look at straight model data. There is no science a part of that. Do you side more with Model 1 or Model 2? I think you were referencing, if I come back here, not this, but these two different potentials. So the European model that has, bringing it forward, that has 6+, or do I think it'll be like the Schref? I mean, but even, I want to show you this. So this was yesterday evening. This is what our SREF model, the Schref model, the Schref plumes for forecasting. Bullseye up where I am even, up here in Pennsylvania. Nothing in Southern Maryland. Let me take you through. So this was the forecast from 3 runs ago, from 2 runs ago, one run ago, the latest run. It's now maybe trying to come a little farther south and east. I see a lot of models doing this. And I think in my 7 years of forecasting, I have had to do a last-minute change forecast maybe less than a handful of times. Maybe like 3 or 4. I am someone I will... And this is not an approach I see a lot of meteorologists take anymore. But I will put out my final call forecast, and that's exactly what I did. Let me bring it back over here. That's exactly what I did earlier. This was out at noon. I will live or die by this forecast. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. I'm not going to change it right before the storm, put 3 to 6 over us, and say, "Oh, look, I was right the entire time." I'll be consistent. I will do last-minute changes, though, like that, if it is absolutely necessary. Like, I'm forecasting 1 to 3, but we could really see, like, 7 to 10 inches. And maybe this is an event that warrants that. I don't know. I would prefer to not change this forecast. I want to stick with it and see how it goes. But I'm also not going to deny the trends and deny the computer data I have that points to an entirely different direction. So the reason I have not yet changed this forecast is because I've shown you models that largely are agreeing with a southeast trend. I have seen many models, though, that do not show this. And even if I come back here, and I think what my forecast does a good job of, too, look at this, the southern tip of St. Mary's County. And let me show you the color scale here. You see it down here. Southern tip of St. Mary's, less than an inch. Mechanicsville, easily 7. So there will be, across a 30 to 40 mile span, you will go from very little snow to a lot of snow. There will be a big gradient that sets up, and it's going to be very tight. And I try to allude to that in my final call forecast. So that's likely, and I would keep that in mind. That was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry, Jennifer, and that wasn't all directed at you. I just wanted to walk everyone through, if they're joining late, kind of what I'm looking at. Oh. Let's see. And Cheryl wants the 7 inches of snow. Okay, we hear your science. What does my gut say? I don't know. My gut is currently trying to process the goldfish we have broken up for this. But I honestly don't know. My gut tells me it's further north and west. My gut tells me that I would believe, given what I've seen this winter, the trends with this storm, my gut tells me I would believe this. But the latest data, the updated forecast models, and all point to this. So it's my gut versus science. So, I mean, you can pick where you want to be in that type of a situation. But I honestly don't know, and I can't give you a definitive answer. My best stab at it is this. But it could go either way. You could be on the higher end of this. You could be on the lower end. Seriously, when is it supposed to start? I have that in the pinned comment, and that should still be there, I think. But probably starting between about midnight and 3 a.m. Actually, Calvert, Lesby. Oh, look, there he goes. It's streaming by. Quick, 1 to 3. Make sure you look at the ticker before you ask about your specific area. Look at the ticker. JB, I'm hoping for more snow, but I appreciate your honesty. Of course, Lisa, I'll always be honest with you. And it's great that you all appreciate my thoroughness. JB, can you circle back that snow up north? Again, to see what happens. Yeah, and there are a lot of variables, but this is what makes forecasting fun. You know, it's the challenge. This isn't an easy forecast where I can say, 2 to 4, that's it. You know, there's a lot of science to look at. There's a lot of math to crunch. I then have to, my forecast isn't just what you see on this graphic. It isn't, I get to make pretty maps all day. There's a lot of science that goes into this. So this type of a forecast I like because it challenges me. It makes me be a better forecaster. I've done very hard forecasts in the past, and each one has helped me progress in my forecasting career and up my skill level. If you were one of the day ones back, 2013, 2014, you would know my forecast wasn't right that much. I mean, it was right a decent amount of the time, but on tricky events like this, I would always be on the wrong side. So maybe I am this time. That's very much possible, but this event will teach me more about this type of a setup. Do I rely more on frontogenesis and heavy forcing, or do I rely more on the temperature gradient? So we'll see. The variables make it fun, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. Did we do a magic snow dance? I wish it was that easy, Mara. So it's not good to trust models, any of them, until about 24 hours. I don't say I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't say that. You can look at them, but I would take any model with a grain of salt. Unless they smell the rain to get the best snow. That is the most accurate thing I've ever heard. You got to be near that rain snow line. Jackie wants to know about Prince Frederick. That'll be coming up here on the snow forecast down below. I see Chesapeake Beach. So Prince Frederick can't be too far behind. So Cave, this misses us this year. It's rare. It's a rare year. It doesn't stop my birthday. Let's see. Will it turn to rain early? It will probably start as a period of rain, and then we'll go over to a period of snow. Since we're less than 12 hours from this, are the computer models agreeing or no? No, Carrie, they are not. I mean, they're agreeing a little bit that maybe this comes a little further south and east, but it's a tough forecast. Next week we are a big one, especially with the cold air. Yeah, I mean, we have cold air moving in. The end of this week and the next week, it is a prime setup to see a big snow. And I will outright say that I think next week will produce something. So we'll see. Maybe this is an appetizer event to something. Hey there, Andrew. Aggregate mills of the ticker. See, this is the issue with the ticker. I love it. And there's about 30 town names on there. During the last storm, I added another 30. So I had like 62 town names all scattered throughout Southern Maryland. And it was too much for the ticker to handle. It can only go up to 30 town names. So I tried to get a good mix. But Lexington Park, 1 to 3. Piney Point, 1 to 2. Point Lookout, 1. So probably like 1 to 3 Great Mill. So you can kind of get the idea, I think. Let's see. And thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. Do you think with the forecasted temperatures that it will stick to roadways? Randy, it will need to fall heavy initially. What I will do, I will come back over here to our European model. And actually, let's take a look at the NAM. I like the NAM. And I'll show you the temperature output it does. These are these small numbers here. Those are the temperatures. It might be difficult for you to see on your screen. But this is the 1 a.m. predicted temperature, 43. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Look how much we drop between midnight, or 1 a.m., 43, 1, 2, 3, and then by 7 a.m., 34. So initially no, but later on probably. And Kimberly, it's a little too early for schools. I love that forecast of tomorrow, though. I'm going to need you to charge your model. Change your model and send it to Lothian. At least a foot of snow. We shall see. See, our weather channel says Harrisonburg to expect snow this coming Thursday and Friday. Oh, Cheryl, it is possible. I'll give you a quick look at that. Let's take a look at our European model. And I'm not one to show models this far out, but for the 215, you typically are the ones that like to see this type of stuff. So I'll show you. And this is just a look at the surface. So this is our system Monday. And you can see the timestamp up here. Monday. We see another system work. Oh, we have some energy floating around. We'll get a better idea on this on Tuesday. We move this forward. Oh, look at that Thursday. This is our next chance of snow. This will be Thursday. Should be interesting because I have class Thursday, so. But our next chance of snow would come Thursday. As we have energy that rides up from the north or from the south, maybe we get a little bit of coastal development. Maybe we have high pressure that sticks around. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe an icy mix. There's a lot of potential here. Okay, it's Kimberly, right? Yeah, Kimberly Beasley. I appreciate that. I try to teach as much as I forecast, so I try my best to be transparent. So you all don't think, oh, I'm just throwing a 1 to 3 number out there, you know, from like out of my hat or something, and I don't know what I'm doing. I try to give you all kind of a background with where my forecast is coming from and explain the caveats on how it could boom or bust. So I'm glad that you appreciate my explanations. See, and true that one, a true blizzard. I mean, Theresa, I get that. When I was when I was coming up through school, I remember the 2003 blizzard. I remember that winter 2009, 2010, where we saw 3 blizzards. We just don't get them like we used to. Not as frequently. What do I think it'll be like around 4 p.m. for Chesapeake Beach? Let me bring you over here. And I will show you or at least our model shows, and if I agree with it. But by 4 o'clock, you should be fine. Let's move you forward here. So let's see. This is noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You should be fine. Maybe some lingering rain or snow showers, but you should be fine. Amy wants to know about Gaithersburg / Damascus. Probably like 3 to 6, maybe closer to 3 to 4. Maybe if you get a heavier band, you could see a little more. Yes, Don, I did add Chesapeake Beach to my little ticker. It's even here on the maps too. There you go. I needed to be clear Wednesday. Oh, Lana, we'll see. I think I finally got to the end of the comments, but we shall see that Wednesday. I want to get through this first storm, and then we'll talk about maybe something Wednesday. So we'll see. It's going to be inactive. I think the rest of February is active, and I said this. If you follow on Twitter, you follow on Facebook. I've been talking prolonged now that this February looks very active, and our peak winter time for Southern Maryland is between Martin Luther King Jr. Day and St. Patrick's Day. That 6-week time period between the end of January and mid-March. We see far more snowstorms in February and the first 2 weeks of March than we do at all in December. For most of January as well. It is rare for us to get an early season snowstorm. We get many more late season storms. Crystal says she's just getting here. Can I go over timing again? I surely can. This was the precip start times. So again, this might not start as snow. Might start as an hour or 2 of rain. But generally, probably between about midnight and 3 a.m., I think, locally. Maybe closer to 3 than midnight. Maybe my timing's too fast. But this is how I lean. Because these storms always seem to come in a little quicker than expected. And actually, I can even show you coming back over here. Let me make sure I'm showing you current radar, not just Futurecast. This is our storm trying to get its act together. And if I put on, I would like surface pressure. Our system is trying to get its act together down here. It's already bringing rain and snow to some areas. So, again, between midnight and 3 a.m., we'll see. Brittany wants to know about King George. King George is on the snowfall forecast ticker, but I will take it back here. King George, like 2 to 4. 2009, 2 back-to-back storms are about 14 inches, and the next storm was 15. Yeah, and what's crazy, not a lot of people remember this, but we had a storm in December, right before Christmas, that brought 12 to 16 inches. And then we went much of January without anything until January 31st. We saw 4 to 8, and it was a southern storm, so we saw the highest totals here in Southern Maryland. And then about a week and a half later, or probably 5 days later, we saw that first Snowmageddon storm, and then the second storm. We saw, by we, I mean Reagan National. That is the closest snow reporting site to Southern Maryland. Saw, I want to say it was 56 inches of snow. It's their snowiest winter ever. So we tend to compare our snow seasons a lot to that winter because it's stuck in our mind that, we can get 3 blizzards in 1 year, but that is not that common in our region. A winter like this is much more common, especially nowadays. And this next part, I don't mean to say it through a political lens. And typically when I say this, that's how it's perceived. But our climate is changing. Whether or not you want to agree with that, that's your business. I can tell you from the science and data I look at, our climate's changing. We run our averages on 30-year on a 30-year basis, and we update it every 10 years. So we've been operating up in 1981 to 2010 normals. So everything we saw those years averaged. We see 15.4 inches of snow locally. The new averages will come out at the end of this snow season. So that'll be 1991 to 2020. 2020. And that average will fall from 15.4 to 13.1. So it is going to drop a significant amount. And you can call it what you want, but we're seeing our climate is acting, our weather here is acting more like a southeastern type location than a northeastern location. Again, I say that without trying to be too political. This is not the speech I try to be political on, because I really could not care less about anyone's political views here. My biggest concern is that you get a forecast from me and not from your weather app. Thanks for the great info and idea if it will freeze Monday morning. Potentially it could. It really depends on how much rain or snow falls. If we see a lot of rain, then we probably won't see too icy of a morning on Monday. Maybe some slick spots on secondary roads. But if we see snow, if we see some snow, moderate to heavy, then yeah, we could 100% see some icy conditions Monday morning and impact the commute. Cover County times and amounts, Kevin. Snow ticker, bud. And I hope that as I do more of these forecasts and you get these and you get used to the ticker, you just know you can look right down there. It scrolls county by county alphabetically, but you'll see where you are in Cover County up there. I'll go through, and then the timing I have as a pinned comment, probably around midnight to 3 a.m. So since I'm an Indian head, how much? It's in the ticker. And I used to get lots of questions about, what's it going to be like in Lesby or Solomons or Leonardtown or Hollywood? And those questions, because for some of you, you're only watching this for like 1 to 2 minutes. Like, you're just popping in to see what the forecast is. But for me, I'm going on 42 minutes of talking about this, and I like talking about it. But when I get the same question asked a lot, and you might not mean it as a malicious way, it like gets under my skin a little bit, because I think people should know where they are on maps and all that. So to avoid that, I put the snow ticker down there, the forecast ticker. So I hope as I do more, these people get used to just let me go look at the ticker first before I write the comment. And this ticker has a good representation of towns and cities from across Southern Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic. And thank you, Kim. You have a little bit of expertise. Let's see. The reason I work for the school system in Calvert, I drive a school bus. What a way to start off the first week of school. Did the kids start with school this week? I do not know, because I'm not in Southern Maryland. But if they do, it will be an interesting day. Let's see. Let's do big on Wednesday. My birthday's Saturday. I've been praying for a big... maybe, Carol. We have lots of storm potentials coming up. Let's see, Theresa, I'm curious, what was it that made me want to be a meteorologist? So what inspired me to go into forecasting when I was in 4th grade was when Hurricane Katrina was hitting New Orleans. And I remember watching the Weather Channel coverage of that, and I was glued to my screen watching the levees break, watching the coverage of spinning icons of hurricanes, and it mesmerized me. And ever since, the rest of my childhood, I watched the Weather Channel. I would draw my own maps, my family can tell you, and I put them up on the wall. And it's always mesmerized me. And I started JV Weather going into my senior year of high school. I used to do the weather updates on my personal Facebook, but then all my friends, my high school friends, were annoyed. John, no one cares about the weather. Stop talking about it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own Facebook page then. How about that? Back when people my age actually actively used Facebook, and I thought I was this big shot, and the rest is history. But I do want to make it clear, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a forecaster. I was a meteorology student for about 3 years, but I am now an education major, and I graduate in about a year and a half. Let's see, Mara, my grandfather, who was born in 1910 and died in 1987, always said since sending astronauts into space, or that is one way to look at it. That's one way to look at it. And Scott, I'm glad you trust my forecast more than AccuWeather. How much for Harrisburg? And there we go, regionally. Katrina, I gotcha. It's coming up here. I think probably 3 to 4. I've been here for 42 minutes with you. Yeah, Mara, so back when I was in high school, I was a student teacher then, and at my church back home in Solomons, I was a youth leader. So I am very used to having to do this. So it's just the incessant question over and over about the minute detail of Solomons versus Lesby, or Prince Frederick versus Huntingtown. Yeah, I don't know. Something about it gets to me, but I do say that forecasting the weather and teaching middle school students are very much the exact same thing. Why can't these storms be on the weekday? Xavier, you might get that on Wednesday. So you wanted us to look at the ticker. Yeah, I mean, and I got this up for you. I mean, the local look. Let's see. Everyone watch for Jim Cantor if he shows up here. Yeah, I think the last time he was here was probably like the 2016 Blizzard. You're not alone, JB. But yeah, weather nerds are one of a kind. So what do I want to teach? My certification will be in science and social studies. My thought process, and I'm sure that this comment will come up too. Before I get to that, how much for Newberg? Probably like 2 to 4, 1 to 3. I would say like 2 to 3 inches. That's what I'd expect. I was enrolled in a meteorology program at Millersville, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go into tremendous amounts of student loan debt and work my ass off for a degree that will not bring me a living wage. I mean, I have lots of friends in the forecasting world. Many of them for the first 10 to 15 years, really like the first 10 years, they don't make over $50,000. You have to like get into like a DC type market and be there for like 5 years before you can start making like, near 6 figures. So I thought to myself, I have 2 dreams. I like teaching and I like doing the weather. So I'm living up my dream right now. I like forecasting the weather. I like talking to you all. JB Weather is an avenue to do that. So I set this up as a business. I switched my degree over to education. And so then I get to teach. So I get to do this as a full-time job, which it is for me. I do make a decent income off of it. And I get to do that. And then I get to teach. So, and I get to bring my science background to the classroom as well. You're going to be a great teacher. Allison, my degree is going to be mid-level, so grades 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So like late elementary / middle school. Those kids are weird. I'm weird. And when I was in middle school, I didn't have very many teachers that I could turn to. Middle school was a really weird time for me, and I would like to be that person that I needed at that age. And Mara, I have almost all of next semester I'm taking special ed courses. So yes, that is going to be in my repertoire as well. Oh yeah, I'm sure that the kids will love this. I mean, it's like, oh look, our teacher, Mr. Bordash, does the weather. Like what? Let's see. Sorry, JB. Back when I flew in the Navy, we called the aviation weather forecast horoscope with numbers. Oh, there you go. I love that you're teaching. We need good teachers, but you know what? They're paid. Actually, Lori, and this is weird, and you might not expect this. A teacher in Pennsylvania will make more. I will make more as a teacher in Pennsylvania for the first, more up here as a teacher in Pennsylvania than I will as a meteorologist for the first 12 years of my career. And there is a lot more job security as a teacher than a meteorologist, especially given that a lot of people are getting their weather the way you are right now online. I mean, think about how many people in the last few years no longer watch TV, either because of a political reason or it's just not feasible for them. They can get the weather or news on their app or on social media. So doing what I want to do on TV would not be a thing. And I already have this set up. So between this, I feel very secure with the decision I made a few years ago to switch over to education. And teaching is something I'm very passionate about. And not saying that the degree is any easier, but I won't be studying, differential equations and atmospheric dynamics 1 and 2 for 7 hours a night. So. You're so random. Oh, thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. Yeah, teaching people weather stuff is not easy, and I will do it anytime anyone wants me to. So yeah, if you are a teacher and you want me to come speak to your class, I've done that several times. I'm more than happy to do that. Or if you have a club and you would like me to speak to your club, get in contact with me, John at gbweather.net, and I'll get you all together. Yeah, Mara, actually, so I'm going to be certified 4, 7, 4 to 8, and then I'm going to have my certification for 7 to 12 as well. So I will be a jack of all trades. Future forecast by bosses, we do snow removal. Hey, there you go, Gail. I appreciate that. What do I mean more? Exactly. And, Lori, you got to shape the future, Forecasting, I don't get to shape the future. I mean, I'm forecasting the future a little bit, but I mean, when I was younger, before I started getting to the weather, I would play school with my younger sister, and I'd set my room up as a classroom all the time. You just make really good money if you look at the hours we were. Yeah, and I mean, at least up here in Pennsylvania, the unions and stuff are pretty good about getting teachers decent wages, so. And because I like teaching, I'm pretty good at explaining a forecast and pretty good at public speaking. Yeah, Mara, send me you can send me a message here on Facebook or email me, john@gbweather.net. We can get something set up. I'd totally be down for that. I'm glad you think I have a wonderful soul. I try, People just want to forecast. People, at least that's my view with the weather page. People just want to know what weather they're going to see. They don't want all the dramatics of what my views are on the world or, all this extra BS you see out there. So I like to be very cut and dry, but also, presented in a way that you will understand. I could talk to you up front of Genesis for, 5 hours, and you'd be like, what? So that is what I have for you this evening. We are now approaching 1 hour. So I'll walk with you one more time. This is a local look. It's been up here for probably a good 10 minutes now, so you should be able to see where you are on the map. The biggest graphic I'm going to show is this one. The boom bust areas. Our region could be one that I think we have a fair potential to see way more snow than I'm currently forecasting. And that is because if we see a heavier band setup and that rain snow line stays south and east, then we are going to be talking about snowfall totals that are on the upper end of my ranges, if not exceeding. So in that area 1 to the north and west, they could see lower snow totals if that does indeed happen. So that's a potential, and that rain snow line is going to make all the difference. If it's 10 to 20 miles south and east, we're all snow and we see maybe half a foot. If it's north and west by 10 to 20 miles, we will see mainly rain. And you all will be hard-pressed to get an inch or two. So keep that in mind with the forecast. Let's see. Dina, I have the best science teacher position with the best. It's Dina, right? I do not graduate till the fall of 2022. But I would love to come back and teach in Southern Maryland. It's a great region, and I forecast for the area. But yes, that is what I have for you this evening. So stay tuned. My coverage will begin tomorrow morning at between midnight and 2 a.m., somewhere in there. Let's split the difference. Call it 1 a.m. I will have live updates every 90 minutes for you, or somewhere around there. That's what we did the last time. We'll probably do it again with that. But yes, I will have updates there. I will have updates on Facebook and on Twitter. The website, as always, gbweather.net. And on YouTube as well. All of these live streams are on YouTube. All of my video updates are on YouTube. I'm yet to be able to qualify to change my URL to youtube.com/jbweather. So right now it is some weird combination of letters and numbers that is really weird. So if you go to the website, up in the top corner, you will see a little YouTube icon. You click on that, that'll take you right over. Or if you even click on the final call forecast here, you can see in the description at the bottom, you'll see that as well. So stay tuned. I will continue to keep you updated. It's going to be an interesting day. It's going to be an interesting week, and I think winter will end on a high note for many winter weather lovers here in Southern Maryland. So I'm going to go ahead, try to get some stuff updated, get some sleep before the storm moves in, and I will continue to keep you updated. I'm forecaster John Bordash, so thank you so much for joining me this evening, and keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest Southern Maryland weather information.